everybody. Thank you for joining us today. You have more than likely been invited to this call this evening because you love your pets. If you're like me, you probably love your pets more than you like most people. And you want to do the best for them. And tonight we are going to hear a little bit about nutrigenomics for our pets, which is, Alison's going to explain a little bit more about that, but it's going to improve ways to improve their health and quality of life. So I am Dr. Evelyn Ornbach. I am a board certified rehabilitation and sports medicine veterinarian. I've been working with LifeVantage for about 5 years. And I have the honor tonight of introducing my friend and colleague, Alisan Parnes, who's going to be speaking to us tonight about some things that, some options we have about improving the quality of life for our pets. I will be available to answer questions that you can put into the chat during the talk. So I'll be typing away as we go. I don't think we're going to do questions at the end. Alison, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but unless we have a bunch of time left over, I'll just answer them as we go. So let's get started. As I said, my friend and colleague, Dr. Alisan Parnes, is going to be speaking tonight. She's a veterinarian from Atlanta, Georgia. She graduated from the University of Georgia and has been practicing veterinary medicine for about 18 years. She's also certified in veterinary acupuncture. She's been involved with LifeVantage and using nutrigenomics with her patients for about the past 6 years. She and her family moved to a 70-acre farm in North Georgia. I've been there, it's amazing, where she spends her time raising her 2 boys. We heard 3 cats, 2 dogs, and now we're up to something like 14 chickens, if you count all the chickens. She's currently doing relief work for the local rescue organization where she does spays and neuters for pets and also works to spread awareness and educate people, as she is tonight, on how to optimize their animals' health using nutrigenomics. So, Alison, would you like to take over?
Yes, thank you, Evelyn. You're awesome, and I'm so happy to have you helping me tonight field questions. So I know I get distracted and I can't read all the comments on the chat when I'm doing these presentations. So thank you for that. And welcome everybody. I know that you must be an animal lover to be on this call. And I'm going to be sharing really one of my passions with you tonight. As Evelyn mentioned, I have been practicing veterinary medicine for a long time. After about 10 years of being in general practice, I started to kind of see become a little disenchanted at the limitations that I had with conventional medicine. I just felt like I was diagnosing patients with different disease processes. I was prescribing drugs to treat symptoms that would cause side effects. Then I was prescribing more drugs to treat the side effects. And I just felt like, I was in this cycle of waiting until, there's a disease process and then feeling like you're behind the 8 ball almost. It was more of a reactive way to practice medicine, reactive health approach versus a proactive health approach, which is much better if we can be proactive with our health instead of reactive. And so I really wanted to start to understand the root cause of things. Where do things come from? How these disease processes, how can we get ahead of it before there's a problem? That's sort of what led me into acupuncture training. And through that, I learned a lot about traditional Chinese medicine and herbs. And I just became really passionate about teaching this because I saw some really incredible results with some of my longstanding patients that I had really been, they were at the end of life, and I'm going to share one with you tonight at the end of this, just a little testimonial. But I just really feel like this is important information that every pet owner needs to know about, because if we love our pets, we want them to live forever. We want them to be healthy. We want them to have a good quality of life, especially as they get older. And so this is something that can be different. So I'm going to do a little screen share with you and just go over a little presentation here. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to flip the switch on our pets' health and longevity. And we are with we're talking about a product tonight, and the company is LifeVantage, but they are really, this company is at the forefront of something called nutrigenomics. We'll really get into is, but essentially this is helping us, this approach is helping us get to the root cause of illness and imbalance in the body and really help to slow down the aging process and deal with all of the challenges that come along with aging. So when we talk about health, health really resides in the cell. That's where it starts. So our bodies are made up of, trillions of cells that make up our tissues, that make up our organs. And if we have a healthy cell, we have a healthy body. And so this picture here, you see this nice healthy cell on the left. And over time, this cell starts to get bombarded with something called free radicals, and this creates cell damage and eventually can lead to cell death. So we really need to start looking at how do we help our bodies on a cellular level. So these free radicals that attack our cells, and when I say our cells, I'm talking about every living, breathing mammal. So our dogs, our cats, our horses, and of course, we're all breathing oxygen. And as we're breathing oxygen, we're creating these free radicals in our bodies that are really a breakdown of oxygen and in normal metabolic processes. So it's normal to have some free radicals there. But in our environment, we also are exposed to many things that can actually compound those, free radicals to an astronomical level. And so some of the things you see here that can contribute to the free radicals and cell damage are going to be things like pollution, EMFs, radiation, pesticides, herbicides, chemicals, all sorts of different things, even the foods that we eat. So all of these can cause free radicals to build up and start to damage our cells. And when these free radicals build up in the body to a level that our bodies really have a hard time dealing with, that leads to something called oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is something that is very low typically when we're young or when our pets are young. But as we get older, this oxidative stress starts to become more of a problem, and it starts to get higher and higher, and our bodies lose the ability to fight those free radicals. And so just to give you a number on how many free radicals an average person produces a day, it is 300 sextillion free radicals every single day. And so that's just an astronomical number. And it's actually believed that our pets have even more free radicals than people because they are exposed to a lot more toxins than we are, or many more toxins than we are, which I'll go into a little bit later. But, oxidative stress is a big deal. It's the same process that causes an apple to brown when you expose it to air or metal to rust. And it's essentially like rusting inside of our bodies. And it's also what leads to aging. So, but why is it important outside of aging? Well, it's also been linked to over 200 common disease processes. So pretty much everything that you can your pet as far as disease or illness is related to oxidative stress at the core. So and many of our pets suffer from the same diseases that humans do. And so you can see oxidative stress affects every organ in the body. And depending on that animal's DNA, it may manifest as a different process. So it could be something, with allergies or skin issues. It could be joint issues. It could be autoimmune issues. It could be brain problems. So anything with inflammation or an itis is linked to oxidative stress. So it really is important to address oxidative stress, and the earlier, the better. So from a veterinary perspective, as we talked about, oxidative stress affects all tissues. It affects all species. We know that that pets age faster than us. It's like, the old saying is one dog year is like 7 human years, right? So it's obviously know that pets don't live as long as us. And so, whatever we can do to slow that process down or help them live a longer, healthier life, we want to do. And so, our pets are exposed to a lot of things that we necessarily aren't exposed to. So, for example, many of them are getting chemicals and pesticides put on them every single month, whether it be flea and tick products or heartworm medications or deworming medications, not to mention they're outside they're on the ground, they're not wearing shoes. And so pretty much everything that their feet touch, they can absorb their skin. So whether it be chemicals or pesticides, herbicides, runoff from other yards, nearby places, they're drinking out of stagnant water puddles, they're licking things all the time. So they really are exposed to a lot of things that are sometimes just really out of our control. And even down to the water they drink, tap water especially, can have a lot of contaminants that we don't really think about in terms of chemicals and heavy metals, hormones. And many of them are eating heavily processed foods that are loaded with artificial flavors and preservatives, GMOs and glycophosphates. So all of these things can definitely contribute to oxidative stress in their bodies. And so traditionally, how do we fight this oxidative stress? How do we lower it? And traditionally, we've all heard of antioxidants, right? So that's the 70s, really what they've taught is take your vitamin C, your vitamin E, your fruits and juices and blueberries and, all those different things. And direct antioxidants are great. But they only fight free radicals on a 1-to-1 scale. And so as we talked about, we're producing 300 sextillion free radicals every single day. And so an antioxidant, if it's only working on a 1-to-1 ratio, it's really not making a difference in oxidative stress. It's not lowering that stress. But on the flip side, our pets and us, all of our bodies have something called indirect antioxidants. And these are, our innate enzymes that can fight free radicals at 1 million per second. And this is obviously going to make a much bigger difference on lowering that oxidative stress. And so when animals and people are young, we have these enzymes in high levels, but as we start to age, these enzymes start to decrease and the level of oxidative stress continues to build up. And so, how can we flip the switch on these indirect antioxidants to start kicking out in high levels again once we start aging and that production that naturally goes down? And so in the late 90s, something called NRF2 was discovered. It's a protein messenger that actually is that binds to the DNA, and it upregulates the production of these antioxidant enzymes again. So it's literally like flip a switch on the production of these enzymes. So no matter what age, we can turn this process back on and now start fighting these free radicals. So the bottom line take home is don't take antioxidants. We want to make antioxidants. And so we want to stimulate our pets' bodies to do this in an efficient manner. So now we can really get a handle on oxidative stress. And so how we flip the switch is using something called nutrigenomics. And this is simply the study of how nutrition and naturally occurring compounds affect our genes. And this is kind of a big deal and trend right now in health and wellness. You're hearing, a lot about this and biohacking and all these different things. And, so we're affecting our gene expression. And this is a really amazing thing, but it's not really new. It's a new term that we use now, but this has been used for thousands of years in Ayurvedic medicine. That the famous saying of how, let food be thy medicine and medicine thy food. I mean, truly, if we use nutrition in the right way, it is medicinal and it can make a tremendous, effect with our health. So for dogs, we have something that does this. This is the first NRF2 activator on the market for dogs. And it's crazy because, this was actually developed after the human product. Part of the story for me was when I learned about this, I was actually looking for something not only for my patients to help them, but my family, my children who both were born with a genetic kidney disease. And so I was very interested in learning about this, not only for my patients, but also for people. And
right, I see what you're saying.
I think somebody's not muted. So anyway, this came about from the human product. So the human product was on the market first, and some really incredible studies came out showing that it reduced oxidative stress in people by 40% in 30 days. Well, there were, amazing results that came out of that. And then people started giving it to their dogs, thinking, well, if this is doing such great things for me, I'm going to see how this works for my pets. Well, they started seeing incredible results in their dogs. And so after enough people were doing this, they went to the company and said, hey, is there any way you can make a formula, this same formula for dogs, but make it in a chewable flavored tablet? And so that's what the company did. They basically took those same herbs that were in the human product and turned it into Pet Tandem. And so it works the exact same way. It's got 5 herbs, which I'll talk about in a second, but it is chewable flavored, and it reduces oxidative stress by 40% in the first 30 days. And it is cumulative. So the longer that they take it, the better it works. And this is what it's made up of: 5 herbs that most people are familiar with: milk thistle, bacopa, ashwagandha, green tea, and turmeric. And our Pet Tandem also has some omega-3s and chondroitin and hyaluronic acid, which are also really great for the joints. And one thing I will mention, in practice, we had a lot of nutraceuticals in our clinic. And I was, recommending all kinds of different things for different issues. People would come in and say, they would need something for the skin, they would need something for the joints, and something for the, the heart or the kidneys. And there was all these different supplements that we were really targeted on particular systems in the body, right? So there was something different for every system, it felt like. And what I love about this is that if we know oxidative stress affects every cell, then we know that this is going to work on all of these different systems. So to me, this was just like the best thing, because I thought, well, instead of prescribing or recommending all of these, 5 other things or 8 other things, we can hone in on just one thing and get the best benefits. So I love that about this. And the other thing I love about it is that we actually have real studies, and that's actually pretty hard to find in a lot of natural products, especially peer-reviewed studies. And with Pet Tandem, we actually have a clinical study too, which is awesome. This was done out of a clinic in Colorado where they were doing a double-blind placebo-controlled study on 80 dogs they were healthy dogs, but they had some degree of arthritis. And so it was blinded. So the vet and the owner had no idea which group of dogs was taking the real product versus the control. And so before the study was even done, and what they were looking for was overall mobility scores, activity scores, and they were also looking at blood work to see these enzyme levels, to see what effect it was having there. Well, before the study was even done, the owners and the veterinary staff could tell which dogs were taking the actual product, because they could tell a difference in their activity level, their mobility scores. And so, with dogs, there is no placebo effect, right? They're not going to pretend like it's working. If it's not working, sometimes humans can get in, we can get in our heads and think, oh, we're feeling better, and not know if it's real or if it's just in our heads. Well, dogs don't do that. So this is a really great study, because at the end of it, all the dogs showed improvement in mobility and cognitive function, and there was an overall net increase in their antioxidant enzymes by 47%. So that's a great study to be able to have on this. And as far as the human product, which we can extrapolate into the animal world, because most of these studies were done on animals and mice and that sort of thing. But these were really conducted because of the very first human study showing that huge reduction in oxidative stress. Well, it got the attention of a lot of doctors and scientists, and so all of these different universities decided to study Protandim for themselves. And so you can go to the website pubmed.gov and type Protandim in the search bar, and it'll pull up all these studies. And one thing I do want to bring up is that the National Institute on Aging, it was a government-funded study, looked at Protandim and did a study in mice. I think it was a 12-year long study, and looking at it, comparing that with a few other things to see if anything could actually extend lifespan in these mice. Well, out of all the things, the natural products that they studied, Protandim was the only one that actually extended lifespan. So we truly do have the first anti-aging product for dogs on the market. So I think that's just so cool. You know, it's not a claim. We have peer-reviewed science to back it up. So you can check all of those studies out on pubmed.gov. And so how can them help our furry babies? Well, I will just say, you know, I have people all the time asking me, okay, my dog has X, Y, or Z condition. Will Pet Tandem help me or help my dog? And my answer is always, well, if we go back to that oxidative stress wheel, we realize that oxidative stress is present in every animal, and it's low when they're born, but it starts to increase, and it starts to increase pretty early. And so the quicker you can get on top of that and be proactive, the better. Right? So I don't want to wait until there's a problem. We want to get on top of it early. But if there is already a problem there, and we start to you know, go to PubMed even and type oxidative stress and that condition, then you can see that if there's a link. And so to me, anytime we can lower oxidative stress, it's going to benefit that pet. So we can't make disease claims with this product. It's not, you know, this is not a drug. So we can't go around saying, yes, it's going to help this or cure that. But again, connecting those to oxidative stress, knowing the significance of reducing that is going to answer that question for you. But some of the benefits that we can say that you're going to see: better skin and hair coat, increased energy and endurance, healthier immune system, better joint health and mobility, you know, great for skin, as I mentioned, also tooth and gum health. There's actually a lot of patients that I deal with gums and stomatitis, especially in cats. That's a terrible thing for them. We actually have a study. It was written up in a veterinary journal on the benefits of Nerf2 activation, improving overall teeth and gum health. And so that's a great benefit. Also, cognitive function. We know oxidative stress is the #1 cause of Alzheimer's disease in people. And we do see similar things occur with aging pets in terms of their cognitive. And this patient that I'm going to show you in a second had significant cognitive decline and among other issues, but you'll see just how vibrant she is after really just a couple of months taking Pet Tandem. So great product for these guys. The dosing is on the bottle, but you know, it goes by weight typically, and we can give it to cats, which is wonderful because we don't have a lot of great things on the market for cats. Unfortunately, they just don't tolerate a lot of medications, and there's just, you know, sometimes we're real limited with them. You can also give the larger dogs the human version of Pet Tandem, so the Protandim, and I often will do that when we start getting into the large and giant breeds. I will switch them to the human product. This is the another I wanted to bring to your attention, the NASC seal. This is the National Animal Supplement Council seal of safety quality. And most pet supplements on the market do not have any kind of third-party monitoring, auditing. You know, there's really no way to know if that some of these companies, if what's on the label is actually in the product, if there's no third-party company testing their products. And so anytime you see this NASC seal, this is a big deal. It's going to just ensure that this is a quality product, that it is what it says it is on the label. You know, this organization that certifies gives this seal, they do a lot of auditing. They show up unannounced at the factories and test the products. They make sure there are good manufacturing practices. So our product has this, and I would just recommend that anything you buy over the counter for your pets, look for this seal, because otherwise a pretty bottle without this seal doesn't necessarily mean a quality product. So, okay. So now to my last slide. I just want to share Ellie with you. They're the first patients that I ever put on Pet Tandem. She is really, I had been working with this dog for probably about 6 months. The owner had brought her to me. She was 15 years old. And they brought her to me as a last resort for acupuncture. She had terrible arthritis in her hips, her back, her knees. She really was having a hard time walking. The owners were having to literally treat her in and out to go to the bathroom. They would have to give her support to, when she was going, she would fall over. And she was just going through having a lot of pain. And we talked a lot about quality of life. And they were just so reluctant to let her go. And just, I knew that they would try anything. And I actually had been doing acupuncture on her for probably, I don't know, 6 months before I learned about Pet Tandem. And when I learned about it, I said, okay, I know they'll go for this. And so I just said, this is something I'm just learning about. It sounds amazing. I have, other parents that are using it with success. Do you want to try this with her? Well, they of course jumped all over it. So we started her on it in addition to everything else we were doing. And they sent me, I wish I had a before video. I didn't think I would see this kind of response, or I would have done it. But this was the after video. This was about 6 weeks after she started taking Pet Tandem. This was, the owner sent me this video of her out in their backyard. So imagine kind of the situation she was in, and this is what she's doing now. So this was also a dog that was extremely lethargic. She was disengaged. She wasn't playful. She wasn't sociable. She was in that kind of, they thought maybe she's getting a little senile. And I'm telling you, this dog sprang back like, none of us could believe it. She is acting like she did when she was a puppy and got excited, out in the yard. And just look at her, the strength in her back legs. Like, that was just absolutely amazing to me, because like I said, she was having a hard time standing without falling over. So she is my my poster child that I still love to share with people, because it was such a huge, made such a huge difference for her. So I'm just going to hop out of here now. So that is my story. That is, one of the reasons that I love sharing this, because if we can help these guys, especially in their later years, have a better quality of life, I'm all for that. And especially if we can do it without pharmaceuticals that create a lot of other problems. And occasionally you do have to add in other medications, but I have been able to actually get a number of patients off of prescription pain meds once they have been on Pet Tandem for a while. So it's just shown some amazing results, and very passionate about it. So I just want to say thanks. And if there's anything, Evelyn, that I need to address from the chat, or do you have it all taken care of?
We had one person who said that she had a great experience for both her cats and her dog, and then another quick question about the flavoring. So nothing real major here. So yeah, but for anybody who does have further questions, if you've got more things that come to mind afterwards, please go back to the person who invited you tonight. I'm sure that they can answer any questions. And I think Allison and I are also not too hard to find if you need to ask us directly. But start by asking the person that invited you on. Oh, there's a couple of real fun ones here.
Yep, I'm looking now. Yep, I'm looking
help my
now.
Dog's skin condition.
Okay,
big time.
The large dog.
What is the product you can give to large dogs? Okay, so we should mention, right? So for large dogs, both Alice and I tend to go ahead and use the Pro Tandem NRF2, which is the product that's for people. It just tends to be a little easier to pill, because dogs over 70 pounds, I believe, need to be on 4. Is that right? No, they're on 3, at least 3 or 4 of the Pet Tandem. And it's just easier just to give a Pro Tandem at that point. And we've had great success with that. And then there's no question if they like the flavor or not. You just hide it in something and they take it. So I think that's about it. Yes. So
yeah, lots of good testimonials in the chat. That's awesome. Yeah, I love hearing those success stories. And so anyway, thank you, Evelyn, for helping with all of the questions.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you, Miley, for doing all of the streaming. And thank you, everyone, for being on the call. And we'll talk to you later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.